now. It's on.
Okay, hello everyone. Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Hiba. I'm a QA analyst responsible of user management. So today I'm going to present the 9th session of public OSS demo. So at the beginning, we're going to present our project team. So we have Pablo, the VP of Core Engineering, then Matthias, our product manager, Tristan and Scott are both product designers, and Julie, our product content manager. Let's list today's agenda. So at the beginning, I'm going to explain some event rules. Then we have two big announcements for you. The third part is about the demo, where Pablo is going to present the next PrestaShop version, following by product page discovery by Matthias and Tristan. Then content style guide represented by Julie and Scott. At the end, like usual, the Q&A session. About the event rules. So the first point we have, like, the video stream is 1 minute delayed. So don't wait until the end if you have a question. Just post your question on the right of the video. Second point, this event is about the PrestaShop open source project. So if you have a question about add-ons or any subject of PrestaShop company is off topic. Third part, this event is public and recorded. The fourth point is participants must abide by the code of conduct of PrestaShop project. It means like no bad words, insults, or any subject off topic. Now, we're going to speak about the announcement. As you know, 1778 has been delivered on the 14th of September, and this patch fixes 3 major regressions reported in previous version of 177. The second big news is 178. It is available right now, and you can go ahead and test it, and we are going to be wait for your feedback. Now, the demonstration. We'll begin with Pablo and next PrestaShop version. Pablo, are you ready?
I am. Thank you so much, Eva.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen. Right. Okay. So let's talk about the next PrestaShop version. But before we talk about the next PrestaShop version, I'm going to just bring you all into our thoughts before I can speak of that. Let's get started. So PrestaShop 1.7 was released almost 5 years ago, back in 2016. And there has been 8 minor releases since, with 1.7.8 being the latest in date, just released yesterday evening. And 1.7 introduced a lot of new tech. The classic theme, the concept of child themes for the front office, the Symfony migration with Trig, UIKit, Vue.js in the back office, CQRS, and a lot of new stuff that were brought with 1.7. But most importantly, 1.7 kickstarted PrestaShop's technical transformation. Our goal was already communicated to all of you through a series of blog posts on Build. And the future architecture, whose image you can see there on the right, was published almost 2 years ago now. So it's been 2 years that we know and that we communicated what our vision, our long-term vision is in terms of our architecture. So we know where we are going. And there's a lot of stuff to do to get there. Many of those projects were already started in 1.7, as I said. For example, the Symfony migration. But there's still a lot of work to do in that respect. We are like 60% done on the back office migration, so there's still a lot of work to do. And actually, if you want it, 1.7 could go on for 5 more years with at least 8 other minor releases. So we could do that, but should we do that? Would it really be the best choice for PrestaShop? Let's analyze some of the difficulties related to going on for 5 more years with 1.7. The things that we already identified through these last 5 years. The first one is that avoiding breaking changes for 5 years or more, it's very, very hard. If you don't know what a breaking change means, it's related to APA or interface changes at the technical level. For example, if a public method changes its name or its parameters, it's a breaking change because software, in particular modules or specific developments who were reliant on that specific method being called like that or those parameters being like that will stop working if these are changed. And this goes on and on. It's not just about methods. So changing that, it's called a breaking change because software stops working, other software stops working. So avoiding doing that for 5 years or more, it's very, very difficult because we are not alone in our ecosystem. For example, in the PHP ecosystem itself, it's accelerating with new PHP versions being released every year and libraries adopting the new technology faster and faster, and current libraries being left into end of life very quickly. For example, new libraries will adopt newer PHP versions and stop maintaining older PHP versions. So if we are stuck in a particular library version, we have to choose between breaking the compatibility by upgrading the library or not being able to provide support for newer PHP versions. So the ecosystem continues to move forward, and the PHP ecosystem is moving faster and faster than before. The second reason is Symfony 3.4, which is the Symfony version that PrestaShop is built on top of right now. It's ending its life just this year, like in a month or so. So we won't be able to get any more security fixes from Symfony if we stay in Symfony 3.4. So we're in an ecosystem that keeps moving forward, and we need to be able to move forward with that ecosystem. We will have to introduce breaking changes at some point or another. We just can't afford to stay behind. The second thing is that the community needs more visibility for important subjects or many subjects that are important to them. The ecosystem is not just developers, of course, it's merchants and people who have to put money into the project that they do with PrestaShop. For example, people need to know when they can expect a new version to be released, so that they can know if they should wait for a new release to be out, or if they can start their project right now. They need to know what kind of changes a new version will bring. For example, will the modules that I bought will continue to work in the new version? Or the modules that I sell, do they need to be updated? Do I have to work on my modules to make it work with the new version? Also, merchants will, of course, want to know for how long they will be receiving patches for a version. If they adapt a new version of PrestaShop, how long until that version is end of life? And more importantly, when will they need to reinvest to upgrade their PrestaShop install? We can't provide visibility if we continue pushing changes for later. As I said before, we are forced by our ecosystem. We are forced in terms of visibility, but until now, if we continue with 1.7, there are a lot of stuff that we are not allowed to do because it would be a breaking change. And we are forced to do it one time or another, and we need to provide visibility about when we are going to do that. And the third important point is that we need to encourage collaboration within the community. It's not just the community contributing. Contributing it's appropriate in sense of contributing to the project, but not in sense of you don't contribute to fix your own house. So what I mean by that is that PrestaShop is a community-built project. It's an open source project built by the community. And there has been a historical miscommunication about the nature of the PrestaShop project. And spoiler alert, it's not freemium product. It's an open source community project. And we have observed low community engagement throughout the years. And we think it's because of unclear governance, because people understand that PrestaShop, they think that PrestaShop is a product, a free product. And if they need something in PrestaShop, or if they want something to be fixed or changed, they just ask PrestaShop to do it and then they wait. And this is not how open source communities work. The advantage of having access to the code is that you can change it and that you can change it for everyone and collaborate instead of contributing, like working together into building something. And what we observe is that the vast majority of merge pull requests, like 80%, come from a very small number of contributors, especially from PrestaShop employees, people who work with the PrestaShop company. And we want to change this because we need everyone, we need a lot of people if we want to move further and faster. So we have a plan for this, and I wanted to share it with you. So the first point is to boost PrestaShop technical transformation. We can't go on for 5 years, for 5 more years with PrestaShop 1.7. We need to move faster into the future architecture. So of course, we want to continue the work that we started on 1.7 with the Symfony migration, CQRS, and so on. We want to build on top of that. We won't be doing a revolution and changing everything all over again. We will still going towards this this objective that we shared 2 years ago. We want to be pragmatic and more focused about it. This means choosing our battles and not trying to start 20 different projects at the same time. Just picking 2 or 3 at most and work on them and having a different approach into those projects. And we'll probably going to speak more about this in the future, but just for now, let's stop at this. And then of course, we want to accelerate the process. And how we are accelerating the process is by releasing major versions more often. If we want to move forward, we need to introduce breaking changes. And the only way to do this faster, I mean, to make this transformation happen sooner, is to make these changes at a regular pace, which is less than 5 years apart. I'm going to go back into this afterwards. The second point of a plan is to provide more visibility. First, by fully complying with Semver version scheme and semantics. Semver is a convention that follows that ties the version number and what this means in terms of backward compatibility. So in terms of Semver, issuing a major version doesn't mean that we are doing a full rewrite or it's a revolution. It just means that some software that worked with the previous version will need to be adapted to work with the new version. That's all. We want to adopt a regular release cycle so that we can provide more visibility into where, when we are going to be releasing new versions, what kind of changes you can expect in those releases. Will that release be a breaking change release, or it will be fully backward compatible with what we had before? So this provides more visibility when you were going to be upgrading to a minor version in the future, if everything is expected to be breaking down or not, and if it's a minor version, it shouldn't. And the third part of this point is to clearly define how long we will support a version once it's out. So how long will you be able to expect to have patch releases or security fixes once a new version is out, so that merchants can know when they will be exposed to having unpatched security bugs after the support period is done. The third part of our plan is to stimulate community engagement by onboarding community maintainers, which we already started doing. People who don't work with the PrestaShop company have already been onboarded as maintainers, but we want to continue onboarding new maintainers from the community. We want to open up the project's governance to help prioritize the most important subjects, which are not necessarily the ones of the PrestaShop company. We are working on this. We don't have a clear plan yet, but we are seriously working on this to make this a reality in order to help prioritize subjects that we can take care of ourselves right now, but which are important for the community. And the third point is to reinforce the project's neutrality. To build a sense of shared ownership, we need to show the example by not imposing our view or our products or our services into an open source project, which is actually owned by the community. So we are serious about this, and we are going to be making some announcements today about that. And we are starting with PrestaShop 8, which is our first release, which will be in line with this new plan. So what is PrestaShop 8? It is a Semver major release. As I said before, Semver is a convention that says if you're introducing breaking changes, then it's a major version. And many people were expecting that after 1.7 it will be 1.8, but this versioning scheme that we have been using forever makes no sense in the Semver world, where there's only 3 parts of a version: the major, the minor, and the patch. And if we start with the idea that 1.6 was a major version and 1.7 was a major version, so we can just say it was 6, then 7, and the logical sequence goes after to 8. So it's a major release, but it's evolutionary. It's not revolutionary. It just includes some breaking changes, and we're communicating this through a major version. And so, as I said, it's evolutionary. So it will be fully compatible with existing 1.7 themes, where you're not going to be forced to create a new theme for PrestaShop 8. Many modules will continue to work, and some modules might need updates. It will depend on where that module is used and what kind of dependencies it used, because we had to upgrade a lot of libraries, and I'm going to go back to this in a second. And this is the start of a new TikTok release cycle. We're borrowing this term from the Intel strategy from a couple years back, which is an alternate cycle. It's a cycle that alternates between changes, architecture changes, and then refinements on that architecture. It goes with with the tick, which is an improvement, and then goes with the tuck, which is a shift in the architecture, then go back to the tick, which is an improvement, and so on and so forth. So we are planning on a new release cycle, which I'm going to speak about in a moment, which will follow this TikTok release, alternating release. The key features for PrestaShop 8 are the upgrade for Symfony. We are going to upgrade Symfony to 4.4. If you follow GitHub, you will know that this already has been done. Similarly, we are pushing the PHP compatibility to PHP 8. We'll try to provide PHP 8.1 when it's out, but we are dependent on some libraries which need to be upgraded. So our promise is PHP 8, maybe PHP 8.1. And to be able to provide this compatibility, as I said, we had to upgrade a lot of libraries, including Guzzle. And if you're using Guzzle in PrestaShop right now, I can guarantee it won't work straight out with the new PrestaShop 8 because Guzzle has been upgraded and the API of Guzzle has changed a lot since the previous versions. And this is what I was speaking about when I said that some modules would have to be upgraded to work with PrestaShop 8. It's not that we are changing that much PrestaShop itself. It's the libraries that PrestaShop uses that get upgraded. And this is actually out of our control. We just follow the PHP ecosystem on this. And the last but not the least of the new features is the completely refactored project page that we started on 178, which is experimental in 178, but will be completely done for PrestaShop 8. So evolutionary, not revolutionary. But the actual revolution in PrestaShop 8 is that it will be the first fully company agnostic version of PrestaShop. It's a new start in this respect, where of course the maintainer role is open for anyone. And this we already started, and I spoke of this already. But this will be the first PrestaShop version with no direct links with PrestaShop company or its services. This means that there will be no embedded marketplace like it used to be. It will be a completely separate service that you can add to your shop, but it's not part of the project. There will be no API calls to any PrestaShop service. All basic services, like for example, localization, currency updates, native modules, and so on, will be provided by an API, but that will belong to the project and not to the company. And lastly, PrestaShop will be distributed exclusively through GitHub and the new PrestaShopProject.org site. You won't be able to download PrestaShop 8 open source from PrestaShop.com, but the PrestaShop company will create a new extended distribution of this open source project by building on top of it, adding services and features, and distribute it through their own site. But there will be a clear distinction between what the open source project is, which is neutral and belongs to the community, and it's governed by an open governance, which is to be defined, but we're working at it. And then there will be PrestaShop's own product built on top of the open source project. The PrestaShop company is committed to the open source project. So let me be perfectly clear. All current work which is being done in the open source project will continue to be done in the open source project. The extended distribution will be, as I said, it's like an extended version of PrestaShop with more stuff that what already exists in the open source project, and it will be the work of a different team. The core team will still continue to work in the open source project, and rest assured that we don't plan to prevent any feature from being added to the open source project because it will be in conflict with a given distribution. So don't be afraid about this. This is a good thing for the project. And finally, I was speaking about this new release cycle, which we are going to kickstart with PrestaShop 8. This is a proposal, so it's not a final decision, but we want to hear your opinion about this. And as I said, it's based on the TikTok idea. So you have a new major version every 12 to 18 months, which features additions and breaking changes, maybe bug fixes as well, but mainly changes which are not backward compatible. For example, migrating a page to Symfony, it's a breaking change and it belongs to a major version. And we are committed to following this good practice of issuing a major version when we are changing something. And then a new minor version every 6 to 9 months with only features additions which are backward compatible, like new pages, for example, and fixes. But we want to commit into doing minor versions which are fully backward compatible. So you can expect a new major version being followed by a minor version, being followed by the next major version, being followed by the next minor version. So in the major version, we refactor things, we move the project forward in terms of architecture, and then in a minor version, we refine what we added and we fix stuff. And maybe we can add new features if it's possible. And we want to clarify as well the support timeline for every release. We'll assure at least 6 months of bug fix. This doesn't mean that since a bug exists, then it has to be fixed within that timeline. It just if we decide to prioritize some bug fixes so that we can send them to people as fast as possible, then we're going to fix them in this timeline. And otherwise, it will be just like now. So it will be fixed when someone contributes a fix. So we will issue patch releases within the 6-month period as needed. So if there's a major or a critical bug fix, it will be within the timeline. And if we don't find any major or critical, then we won't issue a patch release. So 6 months after every release, we have a support window. And every minor release, the final minor release from a major branch, will get an additional security support for up to 12 months, like a full year on top of the 6 months. And let me just give you a chart of what would it look like to make it more clear. So this is our example roadmap. We are the start here, and then there's 6 months dots separated. Like this is in 6 months, then a year and a half, 2 years, and so on. So we just released 178. So we could expect about 6 to 9 months from now, 8.0 to be released. And about 6 months later or 9 months later, 8.1, the first minor release for the 8 branch. And afterwards, 1 year after 8, we get 9. Then 9.1, afterwards it's 10, then 10.1, and afterwards we would have 11 and so on. And depending on how long the 9 takes to be done, we expect it to last for a year. But if it had to last for 6 months more, we could just push it forward and then release an 8.2, for example. But let's, for now, for simplification, we just say a major and a minor version alternating. So we have the releases every 6 months, and then we have the support window for a given release, which lasts for 6 months after each version is out. So you see, we release a new version, we provide bug fixes until we release the version that goes afterwards, and so on. But of course, we want people who upgrade to 8. A shop being made on 8 will be able to upgrade to 8.1 very easily because it's backwards compatible. It shouldn't be any breaking changes in 8.1. So somebody upgrading from 8 to 8.1 would have like 6 months of support, and then they will not able, but forced to upgrade to 9, which will be more costly than if they were upgrading to another minor version. So we took this into account, and we decided to provide 12 months support, additional security support to every final minor version. And it looks like this. So people who are in 1.7 will be supported for 6 months bug fixes and then 1 year of security fixes. So they don't need to upgrade to 8 straight away. They can wait for 8.1, for example, to be out. Then they can upgrade from 1.7.8 to 8.1, and then they will get 18 months of security. And then they can upgrade to 9.1 and then again get 18 months of security support. So this is our idea. We hope that you find this interesting, or we're really looking forward to your feedback on this. Really want to build this with you, and we don't want to take this decision all alone. So let's talk about it. Join us on Slack, talk with us, and let's build it together. Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo. Now let me share my screen at first. Yeah. So right now, the next demo, it's a product page discovered by Matthias and Tristan. Matthias, are you ready? Yeah, good.
Yes, hi, thanks. Hi. So I guess we can start. I see there's many questions on the other demo. Just to note that we'll take the time to answer them all at the end. We're just going through all the demo right now. So here we go. This one.
Yes, let me share my screen.
So today, Tristan and I were going to share you a bit of progress we found about the new products page that's going to come out on the V8. The V8 that was presented by Pablo just before. So one of the key elements was the Symfony migration and also the refactor of the product page. So if we can make work the screen sharing, hopefully.
You can see my screen, Matthias?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, okay, so it should work now. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
So we're going to present you the product discovery of the product page that we did, Tristan and myself. So before a bit of context, we took the opportunity of the migration of the product page to provide UX improvement and maybe also a new feature that we could ship before the release of the V8. So to explain a bit more about our methodology, but just before, usually on a product page, on a migration of a page, we usually fix major bugs, improve some of the wording because we want to keep going on the migration and to migrate more and more pages to have the full Symfony system on PrestaShop. But because the products page is one of the biggest page, or we can say one of the most used page of PrestaShop, we thought it would be a shame not to add some improvements and new features that will help a lot merchants, their productivity, and how they work daily on the product page and on PrestaShop. So a product discovery, what is it? Is something that everyone who is working on a product can apply easily. So is when you have a problem, you want to find what the problem is really is. What are the issue faced behind this problem? Is this problem hiding another problem? So basically, you have to identify an issue, try to do some research behind it, find what the user are facing, what the also in our case the developers also are facing as issues, and so on. So in here for this project, we met 20 merchants from different size, from different businesses, from different knowledge of PrestaShop, from beginners to advanced to experts. So basically, the idea is to do a 20-minute interview, which we did, gather all the feedback, try to see what is the main issue that everyone faced to try to solve it. And then we do a 25-minute user test with a clickable prototype. So in our case, the prototype was more about wireframes, but you can, depending on your project, you can use a prototype with different high fidelity, so it can be very close to what the interface will look like, or it can be like really low fidelity as wireframe, depending of your cases. And this methodology help us to find the best solution and iterate to solve the problem that was detected before. So we're going to present what we discovered from the discovery product page. So the main pain points that were addressed to us. So just to be clear, pain points is a specific and recurrent problem faced by a user. So we only solve issues that are met from 98 or 99% of the merchant that we met to be sure it's going to bring value to everyone. So from the product page, it was enhanced from the 1.7. There have many changed from the 1.6 and the 1.7. And here from the V8, we try to do a bit more clean and to finish the work that has been done to have the Master Chief product page, if I can say it. So one of the main pain was the tab combination that had a lot of performance issues and ergonomy issues. So if you were a merchant and you have a product with combination that was with more than, I don't know, 200 combination, it was really hard to find the combination, to edit the right combination, and even to understand the interface. So this is one of the main points that is partially answered, I hope so, on the 1.7.8 on the experimental product page feature. So it's a kind of a beta product page that you can find on the back office in the advanced parameters that all invite you to test and give us feedbacks on GitHub, on Slack, so we can improve it. So all the problematic around the combination were addressed, partially addressed already. But we still have some issues that were faced. Long vertical scrolling. If you have many features on your product page, many categories that can lead to a bad user experience. Many components on the product page were not really easy to use and can be like time loss. From what we saw and what we understand from the merchants. The basic setting tab with two layouts was really hard to find the information for the merchant. So the hierarchy of information was badly displayed. And also, from what we find from all the merchants we have met, they are all on their own kind of system of referencing their product. So we try to find a solution to help them to identify a bit easier their product and so on. So we let Tristan show what we got to.
Yes, thank you, Matheus. So I will show you the wireframes of this project. So keep in mind that wireframes are basically just the structure of the information. So it's basically like doing some sketches on a paper. So there is no visual design applied on what we're going to see because we're still working on the final design. So let's go through it. Okay, so first thing, that Matheus just said is that every merchant uses the product page like in a different way depending on its business specificities. So all the improvements that we want to bring, we want them to be interesting for most of the merchants. So this is what we identified. First, when you create a product, you will have to choose the typology of product, so simple product, pack, virtual, or product with combinations. This doesn't really change from what we have now, except you do it at the beginning.
Maybe,
So,
sorry, Tristan, maybe if you go a bit on the first wireframe, just to go a bit deeper. What we found out from merchants is many merchants didn't really know they have different kind of products. So many merchants just only knew there was just a simple product, the default one. So here on this wireframe, when you select which product, kind of type of product you want to create, you have a small description that we hope to explain and explicit a bit better the typology of the product. And we also know that many merchants use modules to add new type of products to enhance new product management. So we're going to help modules developers to have a hook to add a button that can redirect to their pages configurator for the new products. So the merchant have only one part of the software that's related to the creation of a product. Sorry, Tristan.
okay, I think I will have to go pretty quick through the wireframes because we still have one other demo after this one. So first big change in the product page is that we changed the tabs. So basically the information hierarchy. We reorganized the information so you can find more easily what you're looking for, and it just makes more sense, and you will have less scrolling, because long scrolling was a very painful issue in the product page. If you have too many photos or combinations, you will have to go through the page in a very long scroll, and the page was really not designed for that. So now this problem is addressed. You can also see that there is a new header on the product page, because the product page is a place where you create your products there, but you also come back to it to check some information. So this will be all the basics informations of your product, with the picture, the reference, the different references you use, the price, and the quantity. So you will see it very easily every time you go to this page. We also fixed the category tree components, because some of you might know how difficult it was to use. So there is a new category tree picking and creating component, which will allow you to add and choose categories very fluently. For the combinations tabs, as Matheus said, we already presented it in another demo before, so I won't spend too much time on it. But yeah, you can now filter your combinations by features or attributes, as well as change the quantity directly in the table. So as I said before, you want to see your product references, but you might not use the same reference or the same reference field depending on your product. If you sell books, you will use the EAN. If you sell other products, maybe the barcode. So whatever references you fill in these fields, it will appear under the name of your product in the header. For the tab stock, we changed a lot of little components, and also add the movement stock history that you can see here. So this is a step forward to actually use the product page as a place to gather information and useful information for the merchants. So I won't go through the other tabs right now, but the main new things are, of course, the reorganization of the tabs, and the fact that there is no more long scrolling in the product page. We really believe this new features and improvement can just fix the pain that it was to create and consult your products on this page. Okay, and I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tristan. So following this demo, nice matrix view. Following this demo, so we're going to create all the issues on GitHub, sharing the ideas and what we're going to do. So later this week, you can interact with them. Some of the work has already done. So I hope to hear your feedback on Slack on GitHub. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. That was so interesting. Now let's move to the next demo. I believe it's... I'm not sure. Yes.
Hi.
Let's go, Julie.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So I let Scott share his screen.
Yes.
Please.
Wait a second.
Okay, thank you. So hi, everyone, and thank you for attending this demo. So today, Scott and I will present you the content style guide. So I will start by giving you a bit of context. I'll tell you why we created this guide. Then Scott will go through the guide. He'll show you some screenshots and he'll explain how the guide is organized so that next time you need to use the guide, you'll quickly find what you're looking for. And finally, I'll tell you more about the next steps. So let me start with a bit of context. So why a content style guide? Well, it all started with an observation. There are a lot of inconsistencies on PrestaShop software when it comes to wording. So what I mean by inconsistencies is, for example, different words are used to express the same thing. So for example, you could see shop, store, e-shop, online store. There are many options. There are also inconsistencies in the language, the English that is used. So sometimes we would use American English, sometimes British English or British words or spelling. And as a product content manager, I also had a lot of questions about punctuation. So we created this guide in order to provide a reference document that anyone writing for the project could refer to. And we expect this guide to have many benefits. First of all, we We hope this guide will improve, will ensure more consistency, and will therefore improve the user experience, because we believe that clear, helpful, and consistent messages can really improve the user experience for the merchants using PrestaShop. And we also expect the guide to have to save time for both contributors and maintainers during the wording reviews, in order to avoid back and forth between me, the product content manager, and the contributor. When I ask for wording changes, it will be easier for the contributors to understand how the wording reviews work, and they will know how to write for the PrestaShop project. I will now let Scott show you the guide.
Yep. Thank you very much, Julie. For those who don't know me, I'm Scott, and I'm a product designer at PrestaShop, and I work with the core team. I worked with Julie on the architecture of information to build the structure of the content style guide. We did some benchmark to see what's happening around us. We checked MailChimp, Shopify, and other content style guide. And also we did some workshops. We used Miro to map the structure of this content style guide. And here are the results of the structure. It's divided into three different sections. The first one is about vocabulary. The second one is about writing guidelines. And the third one is about the translations. But don't worry, I will go deeper for each section. Like I said, the first one is the vocabulary. It's the glossary of the PrestaShop open source project. What you see under the glossary is the different tabs that you can see on the content style guide. The first one is AZ, so basically it's the list of the words used in PrestaShop ecosystem and definition. So each word has its own definition, and if you see that the word is written in pink, that means that it redirects it to the specific page. For example, you will see that build is written in pink. So when you click on it, you will be redirected in the build blog. Moving on to the second tab is the words to use carefully. Remember that PrestaShop is an open source project, so the terms we and our should be used very carefully, because contributors are working on it, and it's not really fair to use the terms we or our when they have done the work. Like Antoine Thomas said in the chat, PrestaShop open source project is owned by its authors, and not by the PrestaShop company. So be careful by using a win hour. And the last tab is about standardized spelling and naming. Many of you have some issues about spelling some word correctly. Like, for example, back office without any space, back office with a dash, or with a space. How do you spell the word correctly? So it's with a space, but yeah, you can find all of those guidelines inside of this tab. Moving on to the examples of the glossary page. here what it looks like. The tab AZ, so as I said, it's the list of the words explained, and the tab words to use carefully, we explain it fully in text. Moving on to the second section, which is writing guidelines. So here we have three different pages. The first one is about the key principles that need to be followed by the community, all of the contributors. The first key principle is that the text, the words need to be consistent. Please use the same action verb. The second one is to be concise. The third one is to be useful, and lastly, the third one is human. Human, because we're writing for humans and not for machines, and we are also writing like humans and not like machines. So it's very important to take that in consideration. The second page is about the mechanics. So we will find different tabs about the basics, the punctuation, when to put a dot or a dash, or even about numbers, currency, measurements. Do we need to put the currency before or after the price, for example? You will find all those guidelines in this page. And the last one is about components. For now, we only have 4 pages of components: buttons, modals, error messages, tooltips, and etc. But we're working hard on it to provide you new pages about components. So what does it look like? I took the example of the page, the button page. As you can see, text guidelines here, reminding you to be specific, to use sentence case. For example, here we have a list of do's and don'ts. On the left is the do, add new product. As you can see, the first letter is in capital, and the other words are in small letter. That's how you're supposed to write it, and not like every word needs to be have to be in capital letters. And at the end of this list, we have listed all the preferred action verbs, as you can see, add, cancel, close, and so on. And the last section is about translations. So we created this section to explain how domains work, but I will not go further into details. But here are some previews of this page. Everything is interactive. We used Whimsical, a tool to create the mind map here. It's embedded in the tool we use, which is Zero Height. And as you can see, everything is interactive. You can click on it to hide or show different branches. And we made sure that the resources can be downloaded. As you can see here, the mind map is available in PNG, and also here the PDF is available to download. And now I will let Julie explain you the next steps of this content style guide project. Sorry.
Yes, thanks. The new string added to the project will have to comply with these new guidelines presented in the guide. And all the existing strings will have to be modified too. So this is a lot of work. This is a big challenge. But as a product content manager, I'll try to improve the existing wordings. But of course, you can also contribute to improve the existing wordings. So if you feel like wording is not clear enough, or if you think it could be improved, feel free to open an issue and a pull request on the PrestaShop repository so that we can improve the existing wordings. I also want to say that this guide is just a first version. We would like to add new components and new guidelines. So if you have ideas of new components that are missing, or if you have ideas of guidelines we could add, feel free to open an issue on the PrestaShop repo, or even contact us on the open source Slack. All contributions and suggestions are welcome. And there is also a survey, one question survey. It's very quick, inside the content style guide that you can fill in to share your opinion on this guide. And this guide will be regularly updated by Scott and I on Zero Height, which is a tool that allows creating design systems. So yes, that's it. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, we will be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for your presenting. It was nice to know the content guide style. Right now I'm going to move to the key session. Matthew, I think you can read some question. No, Matthew? Maybe Pablo? Okay, let me read some question. I think the first question was by Mr. Robertino. Agree with the need to enlarge the contributors number, but let's be honest about it. It takes a lot of time for PS team to accept object pair. No doubt, because they are busy. Pablo, if you have something to say about it.
Yeah, of course. We are aware that there are many PRs that take a long time to be merged, and this is a problem. On the other hand, we have a very large number of PRs which are submitted, which is a good thing. Actually, I'm not complaining. On the contrary, the thing is, reviewing takes a very long time, and this is a problem. And I think that the only solution for this is through more maintainers. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier when I said that if we want to move forward, we need more maintainers. And more maintainers doesn't mean more people submitting code. I mean, it's important, and I hope that we'll get more people submitting code, and this is important as well. But we can do anything if we have more people submitting code and the same amount of people reviewing all that code, because that doesn't scale. We're already saturated in terms of the amount of code that we can review per week. So we need more people reviewing. So there are many ways to contribute for this. The first one is just, you don't need to be a maintainer to review, but you need to be a maintainer to approve. But even if you're not a maintainer, and if you're interested in moving a PR forward, don't hesitate to review it yourself and suggest changes, or just say, okay, it looks fine for me. Especially if you find stuff that would be a problem, which is one of the reasons for doing code review, so that once a maintainer gets to the PR, there was already been a discussion, and the PR has been already refined. But the only solution in long term is onboarding more contributors, and especially community contributors who could focus more on moving side projects. So projects which are not milestone for a given version, which are submitted spontaneously by the community.
Great. I think Mr. Ransmeyer, he said, I fully agree with Robertino. It's really difficult to get issue in knowledge and beer get accepted. Well, to be honest, as issue management responsible, I think it's really so risky to accept every issue. We need to reproduce it and we need to explain as much as we can for the developers to fix it, or to the maintainer or contributor. And then for the peer, it's so risky to accept every pair because we really need to test it again and again for not like falling for regression, and especially the major regression. They are so risky. All right, if we have another question. Not 20 minutes, that was funny pair of their friends. Okay. Does anyone have a question to answer? You can read it.
Currently, there's a discussion in the comments about what's the role of a maintainer if they're meant to be reviewing the peers of their friends or not. Of course, it's not the idea. That's not the idea. The current maintainers, which are mostly PrestaShop employees, are focused on moving the must-have issues. That is the stuff that it's milestone to be present on the next version. So if we don't move those subjects forward, then we can't release a new version. So everything that we merge is not released until those subjects are done. So hence the prioritization. If somebody else from the community would take those subjects and create the PRs, we would prioritize those as well, even if it wasn't from one of our friends. It's about the subjects actually that we prioritize. And the thing about having more maintainers is that well, we can divide the sum of the work to be reviewed amongst more people. So we would finish faster on reviewing the priority peers, and then we could move faster into the ones which are not a priority.
Perfect. I think I see some note. I think the question is more than for Julie about wording. Why add new order and not just add order? Adding means always a new item. What do you think, Julie?
Yes, I think this is typically the type of questions we could discuss in maybe an issue. This is just a first version, so we're really open to suggestions. And yes, right now on the PrestaShop software, we tend to use add new product, order, etc. Doesn't mean that it can't be changed, but we need to discuss it, do some research, and yeah, it could change. But right now we just did a first version with a few guidelines and components. So if you want to discuss about this, you could definitely open an issue.
Thank you. You can open an issue.
Also, I will add something. And Spilezar, for a new user, add order can be interpreted as an order already created, even if it's false, but it's not explicit. So we've decided to keep the word new for the button. But yeah, we can decide. We can discuss about it in Slack. We're open.
Great. Another note from Mr. Robertino. I would attend a workshop about what it takes to be maintainer and what is accepted for him or her. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's our pleasure if you can be a maintainer. And as Frank said and Scott said, we're open. If you have any question about it, you can ask us on the public Slack.
Yeah, and we also have documented that what's the role of a maintainer. It's in the dev docs actually.
Great. Okay, right now I think we finished. We have all the question answers. So goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.